Ohio for December. Lake Erie, usually thick with ice at this point in the year, but now it's mild and overcast and a bit rainy on a Sunday afternoon in December as the Browns and the Chargers come into this game, which both coaches feel must be won to stay in the playoff picture. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don Criqui, and welcome to Cleveland, Ohio, where the temperature right now is about 68 degrees, 35 degrees warmer than usual. San Diego got a break there, but rain is going to be a factor in this game. Heavy rain is forecast for this afternoon throughout the Cleveland area, as the Browns and the Chargers each come into the game with records of 2-2. Both coaches very adamant about the importance of this fifth game of the season. They've got to win to stay in the playoff hunt. I'm joined by Len Dawson, who spent some time early in his career here in Cleveland. And Len, you know about the pressure quarterback space in any city at any time, but Brian Sipe right now is going through a lot in Cleveland.
I didn't have the problems Brian's having right now. I didn't play when I was at Cleveland, but Brian heard the Boo Birds here in Cleveland a couple of years ago, and the pressure, I think, definitely is on him. He's not having a typical Brian Sipe year, only throwing a completion average of 46% as opposed to 55 or 60% that he's had in the past. Last week, he was taken out of the ballgame against Dallas. He was replaced by this young quarterback, number 16, Paul McDonald. He's throwing at a 60% completion average. I talked to Sam Ratigliano prior to the ball game. He said Brian Sipe is my quarterback, but if he is not throwing strikes, I'm going to go to Paul McDonald.
Go to the bullpen. In assessing the San Diego Chargers, the team with the fabulous offense, Ratigliano said we talk about Fouts and Winslow and Chandler, and they're all great players. But the guy you have to stop if you're going to slow him down is Chuck Muncy.
Number 46 is the key to this ball game for the Cleveland Browns. They must stop him. They cannot afford to have Fouts have both the passing and the running game. So a very key man in this game is 46, Chuck Muncy.
We're just about set to go on a warm but rainy day in Cleveland. Light rain falling right now. Coach Don Coryell of the San Diego Chargers bringing his team in. They came in on Friday, have worked a couple of times at Cleveland Stadium. He's not happy with the field condition. It's a stadium built on landfill, and there's a little moisture built in even without the rain. So footing could be a problem, particularly if the rain stays heavy throughout the afternoon. It's lessened up a great deal now at kickoff time, but the forecast is for as much as 2 inches of rain. His counterpart, Don Coryell, is Sam Ratigliano. Man who directed these Browns a couple of years ago to an 11-5 season, received some Coach of the Year honors. Last year the Browns tailed off to 5-11. Now they stand at 2-2 and coming off a defeat that Ratigliano and his players all agree was embarrassing Thanksgiving Day at Dallas. The Browns kick it off, and James Brooks will take the ball for the San Diego Chargers. To the 10. And Cleveland special teams cut him down at the 19-yard line. James Brooks returning the kickoff. And the first man down to get him was Curtis Weathers, one of the Brown linebackers, 55. Flag down, though.
On the kickers.
Browns were offside, kicking the ball off. So San Diego, with the ball at their 20, might want to go again. I think they will.
Don, one thing, this field.
Offside. Kickers, we will re-kick again.
This field in the area where the ball is being kicked to San Diego, it has been sodded. That was the infield for baseball. And if it continues to rain, it is really going to be a problem in that area. I was down there prior to the game, and there is a lot of moisture down on that field right now.
It's loose, the turf anyway. And right now, though, the rain is not a real problem, but we mentioned it very well could be, and very shortly. The lights are on at Cleveland Stadium. Right on the shores of Lake Erie. Normally in December, it is not only in the low 30s, the average mean temperature, but there's heavy winds coming up. And right now, winds don't seem to be a factor at all. Flags aren't out. After the offside penalty on the kickoff, the Cleveland Browns are set back now to their 30-yard line. They'll kick it again after the 5-yard penalty, so Brooks is back once again.
Cleveland Browns, if they do not, or I should say San Diego, if they don't have a penalty, should get the ball in pretty good field position. Away from the bad part.
Is the man who kicks off. A spinner comes down, and Brooks will take it at the 7. 15. He's to the 20 and out to the 29-yard line. So there was a net gain after taking a second kickoff, about 9 yards for the Cleveland Browns. Bill Jackson making the tackle for Cleveland. Net gain of about 9 yards for the San Diego Chargers. Now San Diego with Dan Fouts, number 14 at quarterback, comes out first and 10. His runners, 2 big ones, Chuck Muncy and John Cappelletti. Although we'll see a lot of James Brooks. Charlie Joyner, Wes Chandler, Kellen Winslow, 3 outstanding receivers. The receivers in the most prolific passing game in football history. And there's the offensive blockers for Dan Fouts. They take good care of them, too. On First and 10 for the Chargers. They go to Chuck Muncie, and he loses the ball on the first carry and is stuck hard back at the 24-yard line. So Muncie, who's had his problems holding on, loses the grip on the first play from scrimmage. Curtis Weathers knocked him down.
The field is not really bad right now, but you can see the ball slips right out of Muncie's hands. This could be a problem all afternoon long. 55 Weathers coming up from the outside. As you can see, that looks like Fouts stuck the ball right in the stomach of Chuck Muncie. Did not get control of it. And as I said, it isn't really raining very hard at the present time. If it come down like they think the rain is going to come, it's really going to be a problem handling on the ball.
Muncie comes in motion, and Fouts on 2nd and 13 puts it down the middle, and with the reception is the ever-present veteran Charlie Joyner, who runs the perfect pass routes in the opinion of his quarterback. Fouts always knows where Charlie Joyner is going to be, and on that play was an 18-yard gain on the first down. Defensively for the Browns, Marshall Harris is at one end. Bob Golick, an acquisition from New England, starting at the nose tackle. Mike Robinson, like Golick, a native of Cleveland, is at the right end. Chip Banks, a great one out of USC, starting at outside linebacker. Cousineau, the much-talked-about inside linebacker from Ohio State. Ambrose and Weathers, the other two backers, as James Brooks runs on 1st and 10. Gets across the 45, out to the 47. He lost the ball, but after the whistle. Dick Ambrose brought him down along with Chip Banks. The secondary for the Cleveland Browns. At the corners, Hanford Dixon and Lawrence Johnson. Quentin Burrell is one of the safeties, and Clarence Scott is the other.
Don, you notice both running plays went wide against that Cleveland Brown defense. The Dallas Cowboys had a lot of success going wide against the Browns. They had some problems with their cornerbacks coming up and forcing well.
Cleveland came a cropper at Dallas and losing 31-14, but it was 31-0 at one point. Now Fouts throwing on 2nd and long yardage, 2nd and 8. Once he gets it, the defense is there and hits on him at the 50-yard line, a gain of only 2 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Judson Flint, 20, was the first man to Chuck Muncie. He is the primary target of the Cleveland defense. They feel they've got to get to Muncie and slow him down, because last year when the Chargers came in here on opening day, San Diego is absolutely awesome, beating Cleveland 44-14. Muncie had his greatest day as a rusher in the NFL. He ran for 161 yards against Cleveland. They don't want to see that happen again if they can help it. 3rd and a long 5 for the Chargers, just short of midfield. Fouts throws, and Joyner can't get to it. There's a penalty marker down in the San Diego backfield. Going to be against the Chargers. They were holding as Cleveland got a good rush.
You don't get that too often on Dan Fouts. To get back, you don't get to him, because Dan Fouts is going to get rid of that ball very, very quickly. I'm sure they'll refuse this penalty.
Holding, number 63, offense, decline, 4th down.
Pat Haggerty, the referee, and so the Browns defense comes up with the big play, getting the rush on, forcing the hold. The pass was incomplete, so they declined it, as Lenny pointed out, and it now will be a punting down. The Green Bay Packers have jumped in front of the Bills on a Jan Stenerud field goal from 33 yards out. 3-0. Green Bay over Buffalo, playing at Milwaukee. Dwight Walker, a rookie, is back for Cleveland as a lone safety. The Browns put 10 men up on the line. Now they drop some people off to block for the return man. The punt downfield by Maury Buford is taken 5 to the 10. Head down. The returner Walker gets the ball out to about the 14-yard line, where he's knocked down by Jim Jodap. 45-yard punt, 5-yard return. Browns go on offense when we come back. National Football League. Today's game is brought to us Chip Banks, Browns #1 draft choice. A brilliant young linebacker is being attended to. Cleveland going on offense for the first time. Shifting into an open backfield as wide receivers now come in motion. That's Logan. Ryan Sipe at quarterback after a long count goes to Pruitt. And this hard hitter, Purdue University, takes the ball ahead across the 15. And the Charger left side sweeps him under, led by big 68 Leroy Jones. Little extra girth in that big fella in the middle there, Louis Kelcher. Ryan Sipe at quarterback, Charles White and Mike Pruitt the starting runners. Dave Logan, Ricky Feature, and a superb tight end, Ozzie Newsome, the primary pass catchers. Good offensive line, particularly with Doug Deacon back after a hand injury. Jackson DeLeon, DeLamiere, and Cody Risen. Second down and 8. Cleveland Browns, no score in the first quarter. Sipe gets time, and he gets his man. 3 ball. It's incomplete. Ball came down to the fullback, Mike Pruitt. And he lost it after he was stuck hard by Mike Williams, never had possession. There you see Pruitt get leveled, and so now the Browns will go to a 3rd down and long yardage inside their 15-yard line, right about the 15.
This is a situation that Sipe does not want to get into, 3rd and long, because San Diego knows he's going to have to put the ball in the air.
Dino Hall has come in the game. Unusual formation. Now they shift into the shotgun with 3 wide receivers out. Newsome is also one. Sipe takes a drop, stands in, he lets her fly, and the ball is intercepted by the San Diego Chargers. Mike Williams, the cornerback, picked it off after it skipped off the hands of Ozzie Newsome. And so the Chargers get a big play from Mike Williams and take over the ball inside the 30-yard line of the Cleveland Browns.
The one thing the Cleveland Browns did not want to do is give up the football by an interception. Sipe going back to throw. He looks like he has plenty of time to get rid of the football. It does go off the hands. It would have been a rather difficult catch for Newsome, but it pops up in the air, and you can look at 1, 2, 3 San Diego defensive men around the football. They come up with it. Excellent field position.
Right now, no rain falling. Overcast day, though, with the lights on, and no score in the first quarter. 10:55 to play, and the Chargers with their second possession, 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. Fouts keeps it himself, gets inside the 20, and gets out of bounds at about the 19-yard line. He's going to be very close to a 1st down. Added in the playbook, I don't think, is it, Lenny?
No, Dan Fouts wanted to get the ball to his back, but he wasn't sure that he was going to get it to him securely, so he kept it rolled around to the outside. Here it is right here. He wants to give it to him. Muncie was the man he wanted to give the football to, and I can assure you that that is not in the playbook for Dan Fouts and the San Diego Chargers. And Dan is intelligent enough to know, get to the sidelines as quickly as possible and get down.
Don Coryell, I think he might be upset, Lenny, that his quarterback was running. Although he liked the end result, a 9-yard gain, 2nd down and 1. Fouts to throw, looks into the end zone. He kills it. There's Charlie Joyner down at the 2-yard line. And a penalty marker comes in after a late hit, so it'll be advanced to the 1, and 1st and goal will result there for the San Diego Chargers in this scoreless game, but it might not be scoreless long.
Late hit. 1st and goal.
Personal foul for a late hit against the Cleveland Browns. And so now the Browns defense with only a yard separating the ball in their end zone.
Sipe had plenty of time to get rid of the football. You can see right there, 56 is Chip Banks coming in, making the late hit on Charlie Joyner on the 1-yard line now for the San Diego Chargers. You look at it realistically, they have 4 shots to run the ball to get it in for a score.
I think we can look for him to run it every time and give it to Muncie right here. Right behind the blocking of Cappelletti. There's Muncie, and he is into the end zone for a touchdown for San Diego. Fouts, when he's down close, wants to just pound it at the defense. He didn't want to fool putting it up at that point.
If you have a man like Chuck Muncie, he's 235 pounds, and the great strength that he has, give him the football on the 1-yard line. They may stop him once if they get great penetration, but if he's got 3 shots of it at it, you got to figure you're going to get into the end zone.
When you look back at how this drive started, Lenny, I don't think you can really fault Brian Sipe for the interception. It was a high throw, but Newsome often gets those, and it did skip off his hands on this wet day and ended up in the arms of Mike Williams, and subsequently the Chargers take it in. With Benerska ready to try the point after Luther holding. Ralph Benerska puts up the 7th point of the game, and so with 10 minutes and a second to play in the first quarter, the San Diego Chargers have gone in front on a 28-yard drive with Chuck Muncie on the payoff end. Took them just 54 seconds to get in, and there's Muncie with the score, and it's 7-0. San Diego Chargers in the lead. Don Coryell's Chargers have taken a 7-0 lead over the Cleveland Browns of San Bertigliano, and now Benerska hits a line drive kickoff that'll be fielded on the 1 hop. White Walker runs the ball back across the 20, almost broke the crust. He got out to the 25, took a hard hit there. Ralph Benerska with that off during strike injury, fell down playing tennis and broke the radius bone in his wrist.
Only kickers can do things like that, I guess. He's had his share of problems, but it's amazing. He comes out and he's able to accomplish what he has. He's the leading scorer, or tied for the lead in the AFC with 33 points, now his 34. For the Cleveland Browns, this is a very important series right now. They've got to get out of the hole. They've got to move that ball offensively.
9:53 to go in the first quarter. Brian Sipe out of San Diego State, where he led the nation in passing under Don Coryell as a senior, goes to the run and gives it off to his fullback, Mike Pruitt, who has been an excellent back for the Cleveland Browns. 1,000-yard rusher the past 3 seasons. Good receiver. Cliff Thrift, 59, middle linebacker for the Chargers, knocked him down.
Both of these teams offensively are very similar. They like to throw the football. They've got an outstanding running back, Pruitt for the Browns and Muncie for the San Diego Chargers.
Brian Sipe with his team set up now, 2nd down and 4. Chargers leading 7-0 first quarter. Here comes Mike Pruitt. And the Chargers, Phil Knight on defense, knocked the man down for a gain of only a yard. And while we have a moment, let's go to NFL 82 in New York.
Thank you, Don Cricky. This is Mike Adamley in New York. In Chicago, the fog has lifted and the Bears have come up with this sunny performance. Rookie quarterback Jim McMahon finds Ken Marjoram in the end zone, and the Bears, like the Chargers, lead 7-0 over the Patriots. Don?
Thank you, Mike. Mike Adamley, a familiar name here in Cleveland, where his dad, Tony Adamley, was the captain of some of those great Brown teams.
I used to come watch his father play.
Dr. Tony Adamley.
Yes. Shotgun, big play for the Cleveland Browns. They got to get something going.
3rd down and 5. Sipe stands in. He puts it out there, and Dino Hall diving for the ball, can't get to it. So the boos rain down. Brian Sipe's heard those the last couple of times he's played here at Cleveland Stadium. Dave Lewis, a big linebacker out of Southern California, was covering on the play, but as we saw, the throw was too wide for a diving Dino Hall.
In defense of Brian Sipe, I was looking at all of the receivers. They were covered. Dino Hall would have had to come up with a fantastic catch. He was covered very well on that play by the linebacker.
Steve Cox, a good kicker out of Arkansas, kicks off, does the punting for the Cleveland Browns. Of course, can do placement work on long field goal tries. Matt Barr is the normal field goal kicker for Cleveland. Chargers leading 7-0, and now here's Cox against a big rush, gets the ball away, and very well. Drives James Brooks back to the 23. This guy's trouble. James Brooks is almost open, and he comes across the 45-yard line out to the 46. And the high-power offense of the Don Coryell Chargers comes back out onto the field, set to go 1st and 10 when we come back to Cleveland. December.
No, I really haven't. I've seen a lot of times when the games are here and the snow is blowing and it's extremely cold. We are still forecasting rain for this afternoon. If that happens, it's definitely going to be a problem out there this afternoon.
Right now, the Chargers are moving, and here goes Muncie with the ball. 1st down and 10 as he takes it out to the 49-yard line. On a 1st down carry, got about 3 yards, and Curtis Weathers, who was a tight end when he came to Cleveland, number 55, now an outside linebacker, starting in the place of one of the best players in the league at that position, although he doesn't get the credit for it, hasn't so far. That's the linebacker from Southern California, Clay Matthews, who's out with a broken arm, suffered in the preseason, although they're hopeful of having him back. The Eagles have come a cropper this season, 1-3, and looking down today as they trail St. Louis 10-0. Muncie on a 2nd and 7, busts up the middle and takes it inside the 40, where Quentin Burrell, the free safety, knocked him down, but Chuck Muncie's off and running early, Lenny.
Don, we said early in this forecast, they've got to stop this man, Chuck Muncie, because you cannot give Dan Fouts both the running and the passing. Muncie has already scored 1 touchdown. That was a big play, running straight up the gut of the defense of the Cleveland Browns.
1st down and 10 for the Chargers. 39-yard line of Cleveland. Fouts with the drop. He's got time. Here comes the rush, and he screens it off to James Brooks. Penalty markers come in. This is all going to come back as James Brooks got away as the beneficiary of a clip that was caught by the official. Brooks is something. They go from these big backs like Cappelletti at 220, and Muncie's now playing at 235 to Brooks, who comes in at 180.
He gives them the quickness to the outside that they need, although Muncie is an outstanding runner to the outside. He has about a 4.4, 4.5 speed for a big man. Can you imagine that? 235 pounds, about 6'4", 6'5", and can run a 4.40.
A remarkable athlete. And there's another one, Cousineau, who was the #1 draft choice in the National Football League 3 years ago.
Personal foul, late hit, number 29. Offsetting penalties.
Hanford Dixon. You get offsetting penalties. The clip and the late hit by Hanford Dixon. And so they'll do that play over.
Well, yeah, I think you can see some of the frustration coming up for the Cleveland Browns. They know that they have to stop the running attack. 49 Clinton Burrell makes the initial hit to bring him down, and that's a very questionable call.
Tough
Number
call.
29 on Dixon. Very questionable.
Green Bay with another Stenerud field goal from 25 yards out has extended its lead over the Bills to 6-0. So the play comes back, and it's 1st and 10 again for San Diego. 39-yard line of Cleveland. Joyner's open again. He's so good. Charlie Joyner has caught 510 passes in his career now with 2 receptions today. And while we have a moment again with 6:46 to play in the first quarter, let's go back to NFL 82 in New York.
Thank you, Don Criqui. This is Mike Adamle in a big game to Cleveland fans. Pittsburgh's Terry Bradshaw, who was hurt a week ago against the Seahawks, has responded with this 3-yard touchdown pass to John Stallworth, and the Steelers lead the Chiefs 7-0. Don?
Thank you, Mike. Bradshaw, that's part of his game plan, isn't it? Lenny get hurt and come back.
It used to be late in the first half. He gets hurt and comes back to second.
Chargers leading 7-0, threatening again as they go back to Muncie on a wet field, a grass field, though, the kind of a surface that these Chargers like. Marshall Harris made the tackle, number 90.
One thing, too, about a wet field like it is this afternoon, the best thing to do is go straight ahead, because you don't have to worry about losing your footing going straight ahead like you would if you're going sideways. Browns bench, number 17 is Ryan Sipe, who's heard the Boo Birds once again this afternoon.
Sipe said his game of pressure. Here's a blitz, but they get it away. Fouts got the ball away. A well-executed blitz by the Browns. Clinton Burrell came. And even Fouts, who's able to pick up and read a blitz as good as anybody in the league, couldn't get the ball away with any accuracy as he almost took a sack.
It's very difficult to get to Dan Fouts with just 3 men rushing him. That time they had the safety man Burrell coming after him, and they're going to do that every once in a while to change up things, make him get rid of the ball before he wants to. You're not going to get the Fouts very often, but if you can get your hands in front of his face to impair his vision, then perhaps that's just as good as a sack.
Extra defensive backs come in now as the Chargers deploy 4 wide receivers. A lone setback, that's Muncie on 3rd and 7. Wes Chandler catches the ball, does the dance, and goes down to the 3. So Wes Chandler, who didn't play last week in the win over Denver, comes back to the lineup this week and gets that play good for a 19-yard gain and a 1st down inside the 5.
And Fouts is limping somewhat after this play. Got rid of the football, got hit just as he got rid of it. An outstanding reception by Wes Chandler. And you can see the agility of this fine wide receiver and the great running ability that he has. Many considered him when he was in the draft as the top pick in the draft that year.
Say, this Charger offense is a fantastic operation to watch. It's just you think they'd score 50 points a game when they move the ball. Fantastic. 1st and goal now for the Chargers. 3-yard line of the Cleveland Browns. Muncie looking for his 2nd trip to the end zone is cut down at the 1. Muncie runs with the ball. Linebackers come over and got him. Eddie Johnson was on the play, 51.
You must assume now 2nd down and goal to go from, looks like inside the 1-yard line, Don, that they probably give the ball to the backs once again. Capoletti's a big, strong running back also. He's good in short yardage situations like this.
He's especially good, too, at blasting somebody ahead of Muncie. They're working an open backfield right now. Winslow's an excellent blocker. He's the wing back to the right side there. This time they give the ball to John Capoletti, and he spins and works and tries, but he doesn't get in. But he's about as close as you can get. It's going to bring up 3rd down and goal from less than a foot away. Defense keying on Muncie, and the ball went to Capoletti.
Yes, but it looked like that he was going to be stopped for about a 3-yard loss. Right here, he is hit. Clarence Scott, number 22, has a hand on him, maintains his balance, comes up, and is tackled before he gets into the end zone. Number 51, Eddie Johnson, prevented the score.
3rd goal for the Chargers. They lead at 7-0. Muncie, touchdown, San Diego. And with 3:43 left to play in the first quarter, The Chargers come out quickly and put up 2 touchdowns to take a 13-0 lead. So the problems of Sam Rutigliano and his Browns are compounded, falling behind a high-scoring team early in the game, and Cleveland now forced to throw the ball.
Well, Sam's game plan was very good. First of all, he said we cannot give up the football by fumbles or interceptions. Secondly, we've got to move the ball on offense to keep the ball away from the San Diego Chargers. And so far, the Browns have thrown an interception, and they've yet to pick up a first down.
Browns need the big play. If they get that and get it in the end zone, they'll be right back in the game. But so far, as Len pointed out, they've not had a first down. Here's Benerski with the point after attempt that's up and good. 3:43 left to play in the first quarter, and the San Diego Chargers extend their lead to 14-0 over the Cleveland Browns as we watch Mr. Muncie spin and take it in again. 2 trips and 2 TDs. Who tied a National Football League record rushing for 19 scores last season. Only others to do that are Earl Campbell and Jim Taylor. The Packers goes in twice today. Muncie has now scored 5 rushing touchdowns in this shortened season. That's just the 5th week. The kickoff by Benerski is a squibber downfield, picked up by an upback. Running high with the ball is Dave Green, who's come down here from Canada, where he was the most valuable player in the league at the Montreal Alouettes one season. Muncie being intended to after putting up the first 2 touchdowns of this game. Apparently might have lacerated his forehead.
Either that or his nose.
Yeah, it looks like the nose are going to butterfly it.
I don't think Chuck's nose goes in that direction ordinarily.
You figure might be taking a right turn.
Pretty good field position for the Cleveland Browns. 3:35 in the quarter. They need to get something going.
Browns needing the big play. Let's see if Sipe and the Cleveland offense can deliver as they go right up. 1st and 10. He's got time. There's a perfect strike to Dave Logan. And the Browns take it ahead for a gain of 18 yards and a first down to the 44-yard line of San Diego.
Well, the first completion, you can see the reaction of the fans here in Cleveland, wanting to get something going. That time, Brian Sipe had plenty of time to get rid of the football. He had opportunity to look the entire defense over, and he found Logan open over the middle and got him the football. There was some concern about Brian's arm, whether it was bothering him or not. That last throw did not indicate that his arm is bothering.
Yeah, that was a good one. Perfect strike to Logan, who hasn't gotten the ball much. That was only the 6th time he's received it this season. 1st and 10. Here's Pruitt on a draw, and the big back cuts it. Mike Pruitt crashes down inside the 30 and down to the 29-yard line. We're pointing out if Cleveland can take it in here, they're going to be right back in this game.
Well, they need to. You were talking about Cleveland being a big play team. This is one of the big plays. A draw up the middle. Mike Pruitt, the fine running back out of Purdue University. And you can see that number 74, big Louis Kelcher, was chasing him. And Louis seems to have put on a few pounds since last year. Excellent field position on 30-yard line for the Cleveland Browns.
It is that 1st and 10 for Cleveland. Sipe drops. He's got time again, and there's a man open. He goes, delivers the ball to his fullback. Mike Pruitt takes the ball down to the 25-yard line, a gain of about 5 yards. So while the Browns huddle up, 2nd and 5, let's go back to New York.
Thank you, Don Criqui. This is Mike Adamle in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are on a roll after losing a week ago to the Steelers 16-0. Terry Bradshaw uncorks his 75-yard touchdown pass to John Stallworth, and now the Steelers lead 14-0.
So Bradshaw back in good form, and so is San Diego on the scoreboard. But right now Cleveland is driving, trailing 14-0 with 1:38 to play in the first quarter. 2nd and 5. Here comes Cleo Miller. And San Diego defense is right there. Woodrow Lowe, the great one out of Alabama. 51 came across. Also on the play was the middle backer, Cliff Thrift.
Man, that really helped on that play. Didn't get the tackle of 76, Keith Ferguson, defensive end, who was stringing it out. Made Cleo go all the way to the sidelines where the linebackers would come to make the stop.
Ferguson's played well then at right defensive end out of Ohio State, number 76. Now the Browns come up with a 3rd down and almost 8. 3rd and a long 7. So there's a big play for Cleveland to keep the drive going if they can. Four-man rush. We'll see if they blitz. Woodrow Lowe's looking suspicious. No. Mike takes a look. Has to hurry. Leroy Jones can't get him. He's working hard at it. There's a great block. He's looking. Now he decides to run. Brian Sipe goes down to the 30. A lot of east and west, but not much north and south. And so consequently, the Cleveland Browns only get back to the line of scrimmage, actually lost a couple yards.
One of the problems that he had when he was scrambling coming back to the left, that he is a right-handed quarterback, it was difficult for him to plant his right foot and get rid of that football. He was looking downfield, and the receivers apparently were not open.
Big Leroy Jones was on, and that is credited to the San Diego defense as a quarterback sack. It's only their 6th of this season because Sipe, on a passing play, was knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. 46-yard attempt now by Matt Barr. He's got it over the bar. Not by much, but it counts as if it went over the top. So the Browns do get on the board with 45 seconds to play in the first quarter. They're off the schneid, trailing 14-3. And we'll be back with Cleveland's kickoff to San Diego right after this. Controversy between the quarterbacks here at Cleveland as far as they're concerned. McDonald and Sipe working closely together on the sideline. Brian Sipe with some sharp passing takes the Browns down, but they could not convert a third down. Did hit, though, on the foot of Matt Barr, a 46-yard field goal. 14-3. This is how it looks when you're a receiver downfield like James Brooks. And there is Mr. Auburn taking the ball back for San Diego. Good hit. Coming down again was Curtis Weathers on special teams for Cleveland, and the Charger offense with 36 seconds to play in the first quarter goes back on offense. 25-yard return.
Here's that play that Brian Sipe was scrambling back there. Number 82 is Ozzie Newsome, the fine tight end. What he's got to do is shake that man. Either go straight back to Brian Sipe or run the other way. If he runs the other way, he takes that defensive man away, and Brian may be able to run with the ball. But he should have made a move. One way or another. Just make a definite get out of there.
Chargers leading 14-3 at the ball at their 29, 1st and 10. James Brooks starts into a hole, and then all of a sudden it's filled very quickly. Inside linebacker Tom Cousineau made the stop. They say he has startling lateral speed. #1 player picked in the whole NFL draft. You know the history went to Montreal, the Canadian Football League, where he was regarded up there as maybe the best defensive player in the last 10 years in Canada. Consensus All-Pro player and Defensive Player of the Year. Now he comes back to his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, working as an inside backer. And the first quarter comes to an end, and they switch sides as Brian Sipe and his quarterback coach Paul Hackett talk it over. We'll be back to Cleveland right after this. Browns had those Siper natural powers a couple of years ago when he passed for 4,100 yards and 30 touchdowns to lead the NFL in passing on an 11-5 Cleveland team. The Browns slid badly last year, though, went to 5-11. As we look at the first quarter numbers, we're ready to open the second quarter at Cleveland Stadium. Don Criqui with Len Dawson. San Diego Chargers behind Dan Fouts. 14-0 lead. Both touchdowns coming on short Chuck Muncie runs. First down, the second down throw, and out there and open is Chandler, as he beats Lawrence Johnson badly, taking him downfield and turning out on him. 14-yard gain and a first down. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cleveland Browns and the National Football League is prohibited. First and 10, San Diego at the 47-yard line of the Chargers. James Brooks stopped once, turns the corner, gets ahead for 3 yards. Clinton Burrell, the free safety from LSU, knocked him down. 49.
That play was designed to really go inside, not way outside where it went. Number 80 is Kellen Winslow, regarded as the best tight end in the National Football League. And here he is fighting with Curtis Weathers, the linebacker, who incidentally, as you mentioned, used to be a tight end, came in, played tight end behind Ozzie Newsome. That's a big switch, going from a tight end to a linebacking position.
Big switch. Weathers has made a lot of plays. Cousineau is the leading tackler for the Cleveland Browns. Second down and 7 now. Fouts takes a look, lets it go long. Intercepted by the Browns. Hit ball that was picked off by the strong safety Clarence Scott.
Great play by number 29, Hanford Dixon, the cornerback. He really made that play because he batted the ball up in the air and giving an opportunity for his teammate to come up with the interception. Number 22, Clarence Scott. Here it is, taking a look at Dan Fouts going back to throw. It is a high throw. You're going to see 29 Hanford Dixon coming up and making the play right there. Knocks it out of the receiver's hands. It bounces up in the air into the hands of Clarence Scott, number 22. The Browns get a break. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute.
Cleveland, Ohio, it is 14-3. San Diego Chargers up on the Cleveland Browns, but Dan Fout's 5th interception of the season gives Rutigliano's Browns possession of the ball. First and 10 at their 28-yard line. Ryan Sipe with 3 wideouts deployed, and now he takes a look down the middle and goes and completes it to Dave Logan, who's ahead for another 18-yard gain. Logan hadn't been getting the ball in the previous 4 games. He's got 2 big receptions today.
Let me tell you, that was a great catch by Logan because there were 2 defensive men surrounding him. One was a linebacker, 51 Woodrow Lowe. The other was Tim Fox, the free safety. And Sipe had to really pinpoint that pass to get it in there.
One shortcoming on the Charger team is the pass rush. As Fred Dean went to San Francisco, they've not gotten the big quarterback sack production. Logan with 2 receptions, good for 36 yards. Charles White runs it very hard, and Charles White takes the ball down to the 41-yard line of San Diego as he rips off a 15-yard run from scrimmage on his first carry.
One of the things that they felt they could do was run wide. As you take a look at Tom Bass, the new defensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers, the Browns felt that because Louis Kelcher is so big and their defensive line is so big that they can't run inside, so they've got to try to run outside. That time they did with Charles White and picked up another first down.
First down and 10 for Cleveland, 40-yard line of San Diego. A lot of offensive sets for the Browns in this game. They're giving that Charger defense a lot to contend with and to look at. Pruitt tries a power run up the middle, and he's knocked down at the 38-yard line. The scores are coming in on this 5th week of play. Ryan Sipe has the Browns moving right now. Minnesota on a Tommy Kramer touchdown run of 18 yards has gone in front of the Dolphins 7-6 in Miami in the 2nd quarter. The Giants on a Joe Donello field goal 26 yards out lead the Houston Oilers 3-0 in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. St. Louis is on the board with 10 points. Philadelphia just scored in a Wilbert Montgomery run. Green Bay continues to lead Buffalo 6-0. First quarter scored Milwaukee. 2nd down and 8 now as Sipe eludes the rush, swings it out. Pruitt gets the ball. On a 2nd and 8 play, he got ahead for 4 yards down inside the 35-yard line. Mike Pruitt gets ahead. Dave Lewis knocked him down. New Orleans, a hot team behind Kenny Stabler. He just threw to Andre Thompson for 14 yards and a touchdown. Orleans leading Tampa Bay 7-0. Chicago opening up a 14-0 lead as Jim McMahon, the rookie, has thrown for 2 touchdowns, one to Ken Marjoram, the other to Emery Moorhead. And Pittsburgh, as Mike Adamley was pointing out, with all those Bradshaw touchdown throws, leading the Kansas City Chiefs 21-0. Big down for the Browns now. 3rd down and a long 3, almost 4. Markers are down. And we'll see what the call is. If the Chargers left early, the Browns will be beneficiaries of 5-yard assessment that would get them a first down. But we'll see if the Chargers were drawn off by motion.
That was a hesitation cadence by Brian Sipe. I'm sure he was trying to pull them off sides, and he did. You could see that he hesitated. He changed his cadence. San Diego is listening to him, which you should never do. A defensive lineman should be looking at that football. And there you can see it. 79, it looks like Gary Johnson jumped off sides.
So the Browns convert a 3rd down an easy way. Never had put the ball in play as we had an offside against San Diego.
Offside, number 79, defense.
Coach Tom Bass, who has greatly improved the Charger defense since he came in from Tampa Bay. A lot of new people in that defense, too. Right now, Cleveland has it 1st and 10, 29-yard line of San Diego. Mike Pruitt running hard, gets down to the 25-yard line. Interesting, Lenny, that rain that was forecast was falling hard before the game, but it's been dry now since the outset.
Yes, it has, but it's all around the area here, and there was a possibility. I know that the meteorologists were saying prior to the ball game there could be up to 2.5 inches of rain dropping on the field. Big Louis Kelcher's going out. Louis, he is large.
The big Mustang from SMU in Beaumont, Texas. Now it's 2nd down and 7 for Cleveland. Sipe gets some time, swings it out. Charles White runs with the ball. Down to the 20. He's going to be very close to a first down. Maybe just short of it. It'll depend where they spot the ball.
Good block by the center, the Cleveland Browns, number 54, Tom DeLeon. He was out on that screen play. Got a block, enabled Charles White at least to get moving upfield. Here it is. Sipe looking, throws it out in the flat to Charles White. See the block right there. The man is falling down for San Diego Chargers. That was a block by the center, Tom DeLeon.
Tigliano says as far as Charles White's concerned, they can't give him the ball enough. He can take a beating and keep on chugging. But in the Cleveland offense, he's a specialty player. He does get some runs from scrimmage, as we saw earlier. Now they go to Pruitt, though. He's the primary runner, and on third down and a foot, he crashes inside the 20 and gets a Cleveland first down.
And that time he went over to the right side of the Cleveland Browns. That's over Joe DeLamielleure, who's been a Pro Bowler many, many times. An outstanding offensive guard for the Cleveland Browns.
So after an early mistake resulted in a San Diego touchdown subsequently when they took an interception and marched in, all of a sudden the momentum has switched to the Cleveland Browns offenses. They're moving the ball at San Diego now. Cleveland trailing 14-3 but threatening.
This is a situation where San Diego may decide to blitz.
2nd and 10 for the run. Charles White working, and a penalty marker comes in from off the play. Charles White did his best to get ahead for 2 yards, but here's going to penalty call, and apparently it's going to be against Cleveland.
When you see the flag coming from that far back, it's generally on the offense. Yes, it is. Holding on the Cleveland Browns, which did not come at a very opportune time.
San Tigliano waited a long time for his head coaching debut. 11 years as an assistant, only the 5th head coach in Browns history. And he said this is a turning game in our season, because if we come out of this 2-3 heading into games with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh the next couple of weeks, could be a difficult season. If we win, though, we'll have a head of steam.
Offense.
I believe he said number 82, Ozzie Newsome, holding on the play.
So now the Browns are taken back outside the 25-yard line to the 27 of San Diego. It's going to be first down and 20. 4-man rush. Chargers have been playing pass defense with their linebackers. Up the middle, they go to a draw, and Pruitt hit from behind is knocked ahead to the 21-yard line. Got a hit for about 6 yards.
He got hit by Leroy Jones, and the reason it was is because Leroy Jones, the defensive end, and Wilbur Young, the defensive tackle, had a stunt going where Leroy is going to the inside, and he just lucked out on it, really. Here it is to the inside. He ordinarily would be going to the outside, trying to fed off the offensive tackle, but they guessed right on that play and came up with a tackle. Very short game.
2nd down now and 14 to go for the first down for Cleveland. Back to the run, back to Pruitt. Gary Johnson does a good job. The right tackle staying at home and holding on. The gain is down inside the 20 to about, let's see, they'll spot it at about the 17 or 18-yard line and bring up 3rd and long, 3rd and 11 for Cleveland.
I'm sure that time Brian wanted to catch him anticipating going back to throw, and he had a trap play called on that particular play. Gary Big Hand Johnson's got his big hands on the running back and brought him down. Looking now at a situation where it's 3rd and 11. Undoubtedly he'll go up top and throw the football, but he can't afford an interception down here. He has to come away with an opportunity to get 3 points.
Sets up in the shotgun with people wide either side. There's a blitz. He throws, and man is out there going for the ball, and it's tipped away from Ozzie Newsome. Brian Sipe doing a great job against the blitz. It was incumbent in the person of free safety Tim Fox, another Buckeye from Ohio State, and the ball just too long for Ozzie Newsome.
82 Ozzie Newsome, and on him is Bruce Baird, number 30. He does have a step. Had the ball been thrown just a little further, he would have had an opportunity to catch it. But give Bruce Laird a great play on that one, getting his hand up and knocking it away from Ozzie Newsome, but Ozzie did have a step on the defensive back.
An excellent replay showed that Laird did indeed tip the ball. Mike Wiseman, our producer today, Ted Nathanson, our director, and the field goal attempt by Barr this time is no good, and so the Browns go a long way to come up with no points. 7:38 left to play in the first half, and the Chargers take over the ball with that 14-3 lead.
Here it is, taking a look at the kick. The ball is going up. It is wide, no good. And Now it's going to be San Diego taking over. We'll be back in a minute.
Glenn Dawson, this is Don Crickey back at Cleveland Stadium in Ohio. A 7:38 left to play in the first half. Brian Sipe took the Cleveland Browns downfield, got into field goal range, and then Matt Barr couldn't get it through. And the Chargers, with a 14-3 lead, take over the ball.
Well, at least for the Cleveland Browns, they moved the football offensively, and if San Diego's going to score, they got to go 80 yards to do it.
7:38 to play in the first half. Bounces a guy, get in there in a hurry, swings it out to Muncy. He's got 2 touchdowns already today. Muncy is hit, breaks away. It's some 235 pounds of power out of Cal at Berkeley. 3rd player picked in the draft, 76.
They had defensive men out there. Chip Banks was out there, number 56, and he's a big man too, about 235 pounds, and he tries to get an arm on him, and you're not going to do it. You see right now, 56, an arm on him. No, that is not going to bring Chuck Muncy down. Dick Ambrose, 52, looks like he got a good shot. Number 22, Clarence Scott, but you can take a look. It took 4 men to bring Chuck Muncy down.
They did it 8 yards downfield, so it's 2nd and 2, and Muncy gets the call again. Muncy, a remarkable athlete at 235 pounds. He can bust open a defense, then displays startling speed to break away. Last year he rushed for over 1,100 yards and caught 43 passes. Scored those 19 rushing touchdowns to tie a National Football League record. The Browns on defense. Curtis Weathers, 55, has been an important player on the outside in the absence of Clay Matthews. Clock running with 6:58 to play, first half. Chandler, who made a great play earlier to set up Muncy's 2nd touchdown run, cutting in front of the defense to receive the ball, is out in the left flank. They're looking at Chandler again, faking to him, and now the rush is on, and here's a throw, and Muncy's open. Chuck Muncy is downfield, and there's the speed of Chuck Muncy taking the ball all the way down to the 30-yard line of Cleveland. That one we have to see again, although Muncy has a problem.
Bounce was in trouble, and he pumped one side. Number 56 is Chip Banks going out in the flat. He's looking to see what's going on. He sees Muncy. He slips, as you can see. The field is slippery. Muncy maintains his balance, though, picks up the ball and gets down to about the 30-yard line. And you're talking about the Cleveland Browns being a big play team. San Diego is also a big play team.
Are they? Biggest ever. Muncy is down, though. That was a 39-yard pass and run play for the Chargers. So he is walking right now on a game left leg, trying to walk it off. Right now, we'll take a break here at Cleveland Stadium with 6:38 to play in the first half, and Muncy and his 2 touchdown runs have the Chargers still in the lead, 14-3. They'll be back right after this. See, walking off, now starting to jog.
The play, Cousineau comes on top along with Johnson, but you'll see that Chuck Muncy is grabbing his knee right there, and you can see in your picture also he's up moving around. Hopefully he's all right. Looks like he is.
So Don Coryell at the hotel last night. He said, I really have a feeling Muncy's ready to play well. He's got some feeling before games, and Muncy's been a big factor in this one so far. As on a first down run, James Brooks, who's about 55 pounds lighter than Muncy, but even faster, takes it down for a gain of 9 yards. And we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KCST-TV, San Diego.
Brian Sipe has known some cold days here in Cleveland. Sipe, a native of San Diego, California, and a product of San Diego State, where he was coached by Don Coryell. He says Bounce and Sipe are a lot alike. They're both very, very smart. John Cappelletti runs the ball. He's the fullback now in the absence of Chuck Muncy. Bob Golick, the nose tackle, made the stop. As a Cleveland Brown has attended to, Ozzie Newsome was shaken up. I know that's Mike Robinson.
92, Mike Robinson is out. Keith Baldwin, number 2 draft choice, is in his place in the defensive right end position for the Cleveland Browns. Clock is running down, 5:47 and counting down in this first half.
St. Louis now leading Philadelphia 13-7. 1st and 10. Here's a quick throw. It's to Kellen Winslow as he makes his presence felt for the first time in the game. That's his first reception. It won't be his last if the offense goes as it normally does. This was the leading receiver in all of professional football the last 2 seasons. Caught 89 passes in 1980, caught 88 last year. A man who they say redefined the tight end position. The greatest offensive threat in football, according to his quarterback, Dan Fouts. San Diego's got a whole array of weapons offensively. Right now they're deployed with a 2nd and 3 play. Pulling guards got out in front of James Brooks, and the Brown defense plays well. Chip Banks, the rookie linebacker, 56, broke through the interference to make the knockdown as the clock runs with 4:50 to play in the first half. Banks is big, 6'4", 230, and he can run with the fastest players on the field. It's an impressive combination on the left side. Banks on the outside, the inside back of their Cousineau.
One problem trying to go wide down in that end of the field, from the 20-yard line in, and that end of the field, it's very soggy and it can be very slippery.
Chuck Muncie, we're told, will be back in the game. Twist to the ankle, and here's an in pattern to Charlie Joyner, and on 3rd down and 5, the Chargers get another big throw and connection to Charlie Joyner, the 14-year veteran from Grambling.
That was just a quick slant pass. He was looking at Kellen Winslow, his tight end, and also Charlie Joyner to the outside. Whichever direction the linebacker went, he went to the other man. That time he went to Charlie Joyner, picking up a 1st down. 1st and goal right now.
He's had a career against the Browns, averaging 31 yards a catch. Joyner's amazing, 35 years old. He's averaged over 70 receptions a season for the last 3 years. James Brooks tries the middle of the Brown defense and takes the ball on 1st and goal down to the 4-yard line, where Banks and Cousineau knock him down. But again, the Chargers are knocking with 3.5 minutes to play in the half. San Diego now, after losing its offensive momentum, now has a chance to go out in front 21-3 if they can take it in here.
That last play, they had 2 tight ends in the ball game. They still have 2 tight ends in the ball game. Charlie Joyner going out, John Cappelletti coming in.
Sigliano says you can't argue against the fact that San Diego has the NFL's best offense, and what makes them excellent is particularly as Muncie, who's not in now, but James Brooks isn't. He's down to the goal line. No hands up. But it's going to be point-blank range on 3rd down if they rule it down. Fouts is over there looking for a signal.
They are not. That time they had 3 tight ends in the ball game.
And again, the nose of the ball is right at the goal line.
Here it is on a quick count, getting off. Brooks coming, cutting back to the inside against the grain. He is hit. See the ball popping up right now. It is a fumble. He was not down. San Diego coming on the ball and recovering it. They're going to give it to them on the, what is it, about the 1-inch or 2-inch line.
That's about right. Nose of the ball almost there as Coach Dave Levy, the offensive line coach of San Diego, talking on the headset, getting set to watch his boys powered open, and there goes Brooks in, standing up. And the Chargers open up a 20-3 lead.
Made it look very easy. Brooks going into the end zone, but John Cappelletti, the other running back, was leading interference for him. He got out in front of the defensive mid, making sure they did get a penetration. It was an easy touchdown for the San Diego Chargers. Here you are taking a look. Winslow in motion, just a pitch out. Number 25, John Cappelletti, coming around with a block. That's all he needed to waltz into the end zone for a touchdown.
So that drive, Lenny, that Cleveland took down the field, playing so well and getting in field goal range, only to come away at no points, seemed to be a downer for the Browns as the Chargers went right the other way, took it the distance, and now Vinerski looking to put up the 21st point, which he does. And all the Chargers and the people in the organization send their best to Warren Jones of San Diego, executive assistant to team owner Gene Klein, who's recovering and very nicely. We'll be back in Cleveland right after this. San Diego, Fouts grew up in San Francisco. Ryan Sipe, product of San Diego high school football. Paul McDonald standing on the left with the helmet off, number 16. He could be seen in the second half, although Sipe generally moved the Browns well. They've just been able to take it into the end zone. Vinerski ready to kick off. He hits a high spinner, not very deep. Dino Hall takes it on the run. He's to the 20. 25. Head down to the 30. And there the Browns going offense 1st and 10 with 2:22 left to play in the first half.
Still plenty of time. 2:22 left, as you said, Don, and there's plenty of time for Sipe to get him down, if not a touchdown, at least in an opportunity to kick a field goal. And they need something. They need something going into halftime to get that confidence back, because the Browns are not playing very well defensively. I mean, this looks like that San Diego is able to move the ball whenever they feel like it.
Well, the Muncie 39-yard gain when Banks slipped on a wet field was a big impetus in the San Diego drive that ultimately resulted in the third touchdown of the game for the Chargers. 21-3, they lead it. Sipe takes a drop, swings it out. Pruitt, his fullback, has the ball with Delamalier out in front. DeLeon, the center, was out there. Mike Williams comes up and fills very nicely. Glenn, your career ultimately, as we all know, peaked with the great Super Bowl triumph over Minnesota. But you, in your early days in the National Football League, sat on the bench at Pittsburgh when you first started out, sat on the bench here at Cleveland. There's virtually nobody other than Namath, the only I can think of, that plays right away and well.
Well, you were asking, you know, what's the weather like up here? Is it unusual? I sat on the bench up here in December. Most of the time it was very, very cold.
And usually wind is a big factor, so San Diego got a break from the weather standpoint. Let's see if there's a penalty marker. There is.
Yes.
Newsome was hit hard by Dave Lewis from behind before the ball got in. So the Browns are beneficiaries of that call, and they'll get a first down at the point of infraction. Pass interference, 8 yards downfield.
Well, the Chiefs got on the board finally, 21-7 in the second quarter. Billy Jackson, a 1-yard run.
They sure looked like they were still on strike. They were a good-looking team early in the
Defensive
year.
pass interference, number 59, first down.
But, yeah, you mentioned the Chiefs, particularly defensively. They were a solid club defensively, but since they've come back from the strike, they haven't been able to stop anybody.
First and 10 now for Cleveland with 2:10 to play in the first half. At the 40. Sipe lets it go long, and it's going to be interception. Tim Fox, the center fielder, takes it back across the 50-yard line, back inside the 40. And this native Ohioan takes the ball down. He's going to be personally fouled after the play, so there's going to be some more yards tacked down, it looks like.
I'll tell you, on that play, Sipe was hit by number 76, Keith Ferguson, just as he released the ball. And when he released the ball, it just took off on him. And the only one that had any opportunity whatsoever to catch it was 48, Tim Fox. There is a flag down on the play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 48, on San Diego. First and 25.
So it goes against the Chargers, but they do get the ball as Tim Fox from Canton, Ohio. And Ohio State makes the play for San Diego. We'll be back to Cleveland Stadium right after this.
Is the only one that has a chance to make the interception. He does that and brings it on back. And I think maybe Tim wanted to be a quarterback at one time when he was at Canton McKinley High School in Canton, because after he gets tackled on the sideline, he wants to throw the ball. And it cost him 15 yards.
So the ball is set back to the 48-yard line, as you were pointing out early in the show, Lynn Dawson. Partigliano, the coach of the Browns, said Brian Sipe has to throw strikes, or we'll have to go to the bullpen in this short season. We could see Paul McDonald in the second half. Maybe not. At other times, Sipe has moved his team very well. Fouts stands and throws, and catching the ball out of the backfield is James Brooks. And he's down to the 42-yard line, so got back the lost yardage on the penalty. On first and 10, he got ahead for 12 yards and a first down.
And he got out of bounds. Here is Paul McDonald, number 16, the young quarterback out of USC. They're very high on him. They think that he's definitely going to be an outstanding quarterback. But Ryan Sipe has proven that he has been an outstanding quarterback. And I question really whether Brian's arm is all right. I know he says his arm is okay, but I think there's a possibility his arm isn't as strong as he would indicate.
Nothing wrong with Fouts' arm, and it's on the fly again. And downfield, Wes Chandler goes up like an acrobat and catches the ball on cornerback Lawrence Johnson. With 1:44 left to play in the first half, the Chargers might be in the end zone again before the half.
You cannot give those receivers too much room, and that's what's happening. Chandler has such great quickness and speed that those cornerbacks, when they're playing him man-to-man, they're going to give him a lot of room in front. They don't want him beating him deep. That time he made a good move, looking like he was going downfield, cut it toward the sideline, and Dan Fouts made an excellent throw. Chandler is an outstanding athlete, really an outstanding athlete.
Phenomenal athlete. Track man from the University of Florida. First and 10. Fouts taking a look, and there's another man turning out. Again, they go to work on Lawrence Johnson. They want to put the ball up against 48. They're doing it with great success.
Well, what you do is continue to work if things are successful. Don't change for the sake of changing. 48, Lawrence Johnson, the cornerback for the Cleveland Browns, is giving the receivers a lot of room over there. Now it's going to change right now because there isn't that much room. They're on the 10-yard line, and he's got the end zone to help him. But when you give a receiver a lot of room, throw in front of him. Then when he comes up, throw behind him.
Eric Coryell putting up some big numbers. Chargers threaten again. This time they go to the run, and James Brooks takes it down and in as he is in for a touchdown. So it's still a